So this is just a small ATM. If you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do another one? It's just short. It's 10 past 4. It kind of rounds off things a little bit. So if I orient you to the Amherst timing, this is the end of the second week. And as I said, they had less hours and less days. So we're not at the end of our second week, obviously. Excuse me. But they worked for like 8 or 9 weeks in a row. So try that one on for size. Jenny just shakes her head. How cooked would you be? I remember one of our trainers saying, it doesn't matter how long a segment is, when you're around 2/3 of the way through, everyone will feel like they've had enough. And then you'll find, and if it's a day workshop, it'll be at around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. If it's a week workshop, it'll be around Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. And he's right, it's pretty true. When, you know, I obviously teach in lots of different time frames. And people get to a absolutely overloaded point. I mean, it's sort of somewhere between the halfway mark and the 3/4 of the way mark, and then you kind of rally. So you might be heading towards that kind of zone now. You certainly hit that zone with rolling the head between your hands stuff. I don't know if you could feel the resistance in the room there, but I tell you, the love was at a fairly low ebb. And that's okay. I'm not here to be loved. I'm here to receive all your projections, no matter what they are. I am just the amalgam in your teeth. Oh, yeah, true. The second wind, that's right, exactly. Well done, Jenny. The second wind. So some of you, you know, if you're in the lull, have faith in the second wind. If you haven't reached the lull yet, you know that you've got, you know, potentially both. I would mark my lull with a bit of a cry in the toilets. In our training, Gloria knows this story because she's staying with failure. One of the practitioners that visits here. We have a shared mythology that we used to be quietly sobbing in separate cubicles in the toilets at Albert Park Lake, whatever it is. And we got to know, we would be timed so that we'd go, is that you, Susan? Yes. Is that you, failure? Yes. We just had little synchronized crying. Anyway, roll your eyes left and right. As you would. And even though you're lying down, could you have the sense that your eyes are scanning the horizon? Do it with your eyes open first and then close them. And we'll do this lesson with your eyes closed. Simply because it's the visual senses are so dominant. It's hard to sense the movement of the eyes with the vision, as you probably noticed. And for most people, the movement has become a little easier, maybe a little smoother, a little bit less effort, or a little bit clearer, or something. One of those things, or some of those things, may have occurred. Now, we talked about this yesterday with a couple of people. There's this kind of assumption that sometimes movements get bigger when they get easier, and that is true for, let's say, the majority, that you can go further with greater ease. But sometimes, if you're really paying attention to the quality, the movements can get smaller, because what you're actually doing is getting more sensitive to the quality, and you're not prepared to push through stuff. So if that's true for you at any point, that you want to make the movements are getting smaller as the lesson goes, that's fine. Like, you don't have to buy into this assumption that in the reference movement, you know, that spot is going to get further. As you get more refined, you might want to do less. And I hinted at this last week, that often you can pick the, and I'm not saying this as a sort of a braggy thing or anything, but the person in the room whose movements are smallest is often the trainer or the assistant trainer or something, because you actually get more interested in the small movements. Now, I'm not saying that's an evolutionary process or it's a, you know, we're close to enlightenment because we do small movements. I still love big movements. I'm a movement junkie. But just to be aware that quality isn't measurable necessarily by range. It's quality first. What happens to the range is up to you. Okay, so your eyes have been slowly going left and right, maybe, while I've been talking. Now, without losing the eyes going left and right, add in the head rolling in the opposite direction. So as the eyes go to the right, your nose goes a little bit to the left, and you can add that in seamlessly. And if it didn't happen the first time, just go back and start again. Eyes rolling effortlessly, and maybe you make the movement smaller or slower. You check in with your breathing in the back of your head. And you imagine the head rolling first, and then you quietly introduce that second element. You know, it's a bit like you can imagine Anna juggling, and she's got 2 balls, and someone quietly comes in and slips in a 3rd ball. And she's so accomplished that it can happen, and there's no big deal. And keep going. And now, find a way that seamlessly the speed of your eyes could increase. So the eyes are going left and right, and that their speed increases, and the turning of the head stays the same. What the? So you keep the turning of the head and the eyes, they're still doing it, but the eyes increase speed. But the head speed stays the same. So you'll find a strategy to do that, is that maybe your eyes have 2 beats per head turn, or 1.5, or something like that. So there's things are still associated, but it's not a 1-to-1 association. It might be a 1-to-2 association. Now, Feldenkrais is so cunning. I don't think that we knew about this 1-to-1 game business with head and eyes. We actually give this as an exercise now in vestibular rehab. Honestly, he was so smart. He just had these things intuitively. And whatever strategy you've used to increase the movement of the eyes, maybe make it different. So let's say if you had 2 turns of the eyes per 1 turn of the head, you had 3 or something else. Or there was actually no kind of discernible rhythm, is that the eyes had their own rhythm. You know, they might be going in, my music theory is so ancient now, I can't remember, but they're in a completely different time frame. Play with it. And again, you know, drummer, this is not a big deal. They can be doing a 3/4 rhythm with their hands and a, I don't know, 7/8 rhythm with their feet or something. Musicians, forgive me in the room if I've stuffed that up, but it's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. And are you breathing? And the next time you're rotating your head, quietly introduce the idea that as your eyes and your head are rotating, that your eyes can be in the long distance. So they're moving left and right, but it's the light of the stars that's entering them, not the bridge of your nose. And in the next couple of turns, your eyes are moving left and right still with the head out of time somewhat, but the focal length of your eyes is close. So you're tracking something that's close to you. Now, actually, we do this all the time, but now you're doing it without the visual input to drive it. We're dissecting out the movement purely. Super hard, but actually, you know, if there was something moving in front of you, or you're watching the tennis or something, you'd be doing this. Leave it and rest. You need to get off your back and change position. Have a full refresh. Roll onto your back. And you rolled so nicely, Helen. You rolled so nicely, you did it twice. Isn't it good that you can roll so nicely? And then in this position, you have your eyes closed, and you don't have to turn your head or your eyes. Simply have your eyes moving gently, slowly, so that you're gazing in the distance, so eyes closed, lids down, but you're looking through the ceiling up into the sky. And then your eyes are coming back together or inward to see this star landing on the bridge of your nose, and then moving away again. And keep up, find a rhythm in that movement of your eyes going a little bit away from each other and a little bit towards each other, and away and towards, and away and towards, and away and towards. And find a rhythm. Find this kind of internal timing that's almost like the tide coming in and out. Your breathing will carry on regardless. And whatever way you like, slowly, slowly begin a roll with one part of your body that kind of ripples through the other. You can initiate it maybe with one hand sweeping around or one leg coming up, whatever you like, because you're going to keep changing it. But you don't lose the rhythm of the eyes looking away and looking towards, and looking away and looking towards. And if you do, then you stop there. And these two things coexist. This eyes softly looking away, softly looking in, softly looking away, softly looking in, and you're rolling around yourself onto your tummy, back onto your side, onto your back. And each time you roll, you could kind of foreground a different part of you to initiate the roll. You know, it could be your belly button, it could be your pubic bone, it could be your chin, it could be your nose. Explore all 1,000 ways to roll. God, nobody laughed. Come on. As if you're going to do 1,000. Let your diaphragms go and have a little laugh. Thank you, Julie. You're my favourite. Teacher's pet, absolutely. And she knows. She knows because she has a laugh. It's good. A bunch of serious monkeys. And the eyes are still going away and still coming towards. And it's no big deal. And this rolling is just this kind of pouring of yourself from one surface to another. And at any point I could say stop and you could go the other way. So that's always reversible. It's always pleasant. So stop and reverse. You're kind of aware of what's going on around you because you don't want to roll into somebody else's lap. So there's a little bit of negotiating, a little bit of sensing, using other senses to know where people are at. And can you roll over your bottle, and can you roll over your mat, and the pads and the this and the that. And then when you're satisfied that your eyes can still go outward and inward, find a way to roll back onto your own back, onto your own mat, and where you can settle. And then the movement of the eyes in and out can slowly peter out. You know, it just becomes smaller and smaller, like the pendulum, until your eyes rest somewhere in equipoise. They're neither away from you nor looking towards you. They're somewhere Switzerland, somewhere neutral. How's your breathing? How are you? Slowly roll up to sitting and then standing. Stay for a moment in standing while we wait for the room to be as one, as it were. Notice, keep your eyes shut if that's comfortable, safe. And then slowly open them and look around a little bit. And now rather than walking around gazing heavenwards, could you drop your hands down in the direction of the floor and imagine that you're going to grab a tussock of grass and you're going to slice it near the ground with a little sickle. And you're going to keep walking and slicing and walking and slicing. And where do your eyes go? And how do you drop down and come up and take a step? And it's always safe. You're not going to slice your ankle, but you're just going to have this vaguely purposeful, gleaner kind of activity. and that you can come up and you can go down, and then you can move over to the next tussock of grass and kind of powerfully but easily swing the sickle and chop and gather. And so you can really inhabit this environment of close to the ground and high and close to the ground and high. And it can be graceful and powerful and purposeful. You can imagine, you know, that's this kind of exploration. And you're kind of balanced, because you have to be balanced. And your weight shift is part of the slicing, right? So your whole self is part of the slicing. And your whole self is moving. Good. And then your day's work is done, and you can walk around and you can have a little look and check out the paddock. If you've missed anything, have a look at the sky. See if it's going to rain tomorrow. Do you need to get the harvest in before the rain comes? You know, there's this kind of routine to this, that you inhabit this whole world. You know, you inhabit in all of these dimensions, and you know, you weren't just cutting in front of you, you were cutting to the side, and you could go a little bit backwards and a little bit forwards. And, you know, if you see a little tussock every now and again, you could just bob down and attend to it, and then go around a little bit more and cut yourself off at the knees. You know, and it's just all in a day's work, and your eyes can look in the distance and they can look up close, and all these things happen, and you're scanning and you're focusing, and it's detail and it's big picture. And then you can realize that you've just plowed a whole paddock for free, and how does that feel? And you can and your day is finished. Good day's work, team. Thank you.